Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. And it's so nice to see so many of you. And it's been wonderful to get to chat with many of you over the course of this week and the past week. And again, like our candidate policy interview series just continues to grow. The number of views for our Facebook videos on recording and then on our YouTube videos has been just remarkable and really showing a hunger across the district to take advantage of new media. I'm in my office and sometimes in my living room and sometimes outside, and you are too. And that's the magic of using technology to be able to actually engage with and hear from some of our candidates as we look for the best representative for us to serve us and to go up against Congressman Lawler in 2026 and ultimately flip this seat in New York 17, one of the most competitive in the country, from red to blue. I'm really pleased to be here with you today, and I am also really privileged to have two guests today, Mike Sachs and then Suzanne Berger, and I'll bring them each up in that reverse order in a little bit. For those who are tuning in fresh, hi. I'm Kevin, and I use this moment at every part of our broadcast to share pictures of my kids who I love dearly, and this is our latest addition, Ellie, who was just christened this past Sunday, and it's really nice to meet you all. I'm a husband, a father of three, a Bedford resident, a Democrat, a state health policy expert, a good government advocate, and not always great at parties, as some of you saw this week. I feel privileged to be able to host this forum and to get to bring so many of our candidates to you. The purpose of this series, again, as a reminder, is to engage New Yorkers living across northern Westchester, Putnam, Rockland County, southern Dutchess County in the political process, equipping our community with information about the issues impacting our families, our households, and our businesses to help us identify the best person to represent our interests in Congress. We do that through three things. We discuss issues with facts, we foster community, and we are introducing our candidates. And again, Mike Sachs returns today, and I couldn't be happier to have him. We've had introductory interviews with all of our candidates. If you've missed those, please check them out on YouTube. And we're making our way through some of these policy-focused conversations with our candidates. As a reminder, in this policy series, each candidate was asked to pick a policy area of their particular subject matter expertise, something they feel particularly skilled and equipped to have a deeper dive conversation into, and really point out where Mr. Lawler continues to fail members of this district in serving his duties in this area. We've heard from already from Peter Chadsky, Beth Davidson, Kate Conley, and we have on deck in future weeks, I think Saturday, we might have Effie on, John Sullivan and Jessica Reinman up, as well as Jeremy Saland, who has not yet declared, and that's going to be my first question for him. Like, what the heck is he doing or waiting for? My challenge to you remains fourfold. Get involved. 18 months or so less, like from a general election where we need everyone out, getting their neighbors, their friends out to vote and voting on issues with facts. This is our district, District 17, and each live stream I'm going to do from now through the end of this series, I want to ask you to please reach out if you are in this district to your district and town, city Democratic leaders and go to a meeting. It is easy to complain about the state of the world. It is easy to turn off the TV when you see the news in the morning and find something distressing. It is harder, but it is necessary to do something about it. That starts with getting out and joining many others like you across NY17 in participating in the political process. I'm going to share this list that I have up on the screen right now. I'm going to make it bigger. These are the northern Westchester towns based upon the Westchester County Democratic Committee list that's out there, as well as the contact information for those chairs. I'm going to try to figure out a way if I could post this in my social media accounts afterwards, but please reach out. Monthly meetings make all the difference in the world. If you don't see your name or your town on that list, if you're in Rockland, I'm going to post it, and I'm going to post it in a subsequent live stream, Putnam, Southern Dutchess. But in the meantime, if you want to know who to get in contact with, just feel free to email me. I'm happy to connect you with the right people. My second challenge to you is support your candidate or candidates at this point, 10 months out from the Democratic primary. We have incredibly talented individuals running who are putting their lives on hold so they can run. If you see someone or see people who resonate with you, make a starting donation of $20.26. These are individuals, again, that are putting so much of their family life, of their business life on hold. Show them a little support and love as they're looking to demonstrate momentum and capacity for their campaigns for the long haul. And then finally, I'll continue to encourage you to know your stuff, know your facts when you're talking about the issues. They really carry the day, and to stay positive. I've met all of our candidates, and any single one would serve us well as our representative and serve us better than our current. With that, I am so pleased. Just speaking of the future of and where our party is going, I'm pleased to introduce Suzanne Berger, who is the chair of the Westchester County Democratic Committee, and invite her to talk a little bit about this forum, which has generated a lot of attention across social media, that's scheduled for September with 4 of the candidates. Suzanne, welcome.
Thank you so much, Kevin, for asking me to join you today. And thank you also for publishing the list of the municipal chairs. I will say, until you get it on your social media, people can go to our Westchester Dems website, and those all the committee chairs and their emails are listed there. And it's the 12 towns, 1 city, and 1 village, Tarrytown, also that's part of CD 17. So we have lots of activity. I also want to say that we have sponsored 2 series of forums already. We had one starting in May and going through June, 9 candidates in 3 heats, so to speak. And then a second session on June 23rd at the Croton Library with 7 of the declared candidates. And the recordings of those, which are about an hour and a half each, are available on our Westchester County Democratic Committee YouTube channel. So anybody who wants to watch all 6 hours or any part of that can go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. And I earlier sent you, Kevin, the link, and you're welcome to share it, or you can just go to YouTube and search Westchester County Democratic Committee. The candidates have also been going around to the various committees and meeting with those municipal committees for the past couple of months. They've been going to other events, and there's been lots of opportunity to meet. We have put together this. One of the comments that we got after the Croton forum, was that it was hard to distinguish with 7 people up on stage, each speaking for 2 minutes, hard to get to some really substantive issues. It would be better with fewer people on stage. And so I asked our executive committee representing all those towns and villages you saw, which are the town and village chairs, the state committee members, and some officers, to please tell me which 4 people they wanted to see in the next forum. And it was not ranked choice voting. You vote for 4, and we collated the votes, and the 4 you see on the flyer are the 4 that were selected. This is not an endorsement. This doesn't mean the other people will not be able to run. This doesn't mean that there will not be further forums. In fact, when we sent out the information to the chairs and gave them 10 days to respond, so they would have time, if they wish, to poll the members of their committee or however they chose to proceed, we sent out a data sheet, which had money about fundraising through June 30th, party registration, social media followers, and other objective data. And many of the people, of course, had met the candidates either at the other forums which I've just mentioned, or at their own committees or at other social events. And so the results you see on the screen were chosen by the members of the executive committee to hear from further in September. I've heard, why so soon is one question. We have a calendar, and I understand the primary is not till June, and I've never suggested that we are trying to narrow this to one and not have a primary. That is not the goal. The goal is to find a way to best get to know each of the candidates over time. But the timeline really ends for us in this initial endeavor in February when petitioning goes out, because we will support the candidates that the committees favor through petitioning. That's what we do on the job. And so that's February. It's not June. I don't know that we're going to be making an endorsement. That's yet to be decided. But this is our timeline. And we have to be in September because some of you may have forgotten with all the awful things going on in Washington these days. But we have a local election coming up on November 4th, where we have to re-elect our county executive, elect a county clerk, keep our 15-seat majority in the county board of legislators, and elect and re-elect local officials and judges. And so we as a county committee will be turning our focus after this forum through November 4th to those local elections. And then after that comes Thanksgiving and the December holidays. And so we wanted to try to get this in before we turn back our focus to September. That all the candidates were advised that we were going to do this selection process. They were advised in July, and we said we would invite 4 or 5 candidates. Why 4 or 5? Well, 4 was half the field. If 5 got over 50% of the vote, we would have invited 5. That didn't happen, so we're at 4. But we look at it as a marker to so that the candidates that were not invited understand better, if they choose to talk to the various district leaders, that they have some more work to do. And if they choose to run their campaigns outside the committee, that's their choice too. We are doing this to provide as much information as we can. And frankly, changing the format invites more participation, because the more forums we have with the same 7 people up on stage, the more it's like been there, done that. I will say the Putnam Democrats had a forum too of all 7 in
I heard it was great.
August. Yeah. August. Yeah. So there've been lots of opportunities, and there will be more. This is just one point in a long campaign, and I'm glad it's getting all this engagement. I hope that means people will look at this forum and the ones that we've recorded and continue to work on their candidates. The other forums we had with all the candidates, some of them didn't, I'm going to say, sell out. We didn't charge money for it, but the rooms were not even necessarily full for all of them.
Yeah.
So so that's what we're doing. We're very excited about it. And I will say, in closing, I know you have a question or two, Kevin, that we posted the flyer, and it was fully registered by the end of that day. After Labor Day, we will look to see if we have some cancellations. We'll try to open up a few more seats, and it will be recorded. It will be, you can watch it live on Zoom, or you can watch the recording on YouTube again afterwards. So we invite everybody to participate. Take a look at your comments, and go, as Kevin said, go to your local committee meetings. They're hosting these candidates too. And that's another opportunity. If you get a group of your neighbors together, 10 or 20 neighbors together, invite the candidates. I'm sure they'd love to come. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to tell you about what we're doing. And I know you have a question or two for me.
Yeah, so I know that, and I know like this has stirred a lot of conversation on the interwebs, and a lot of people are confused, and some are upset. What do you see as the role of the party? I mean, I know you mentioned that this isn't an endorsement, but selecting 4 candidates from the top down, from party leadership and elders in the community, of who should be spotlighted, very much feels like a judgment, and a judgment based upon what individuals know so far. How is that how is that in the best interest of the party at this time?
The best interests of the party are to elect the strongest candidate in November. And to do that, we need to look at each candidate carefully. And as I said, we've had forums with all, and this one is fewer than all, so that we can look at those more carefully. We're going to redo this process next quarter and probably the quarter after. And I'm sure we'll have a different selection then.
Doesn't this favor early candidates, those who've been in the longest, as folks like that actually got to meet them? I know that a lot of folks have been trying to, especially a couple of the candidates that didn't make the stage, trying to get in front of district leaders, but schedules wouldn't allow it.
The answer is, to your question, yes and no. 3 of the candidates on the list were out either officially or unofficially, probably right after the November election last year. And I certainly met them in December or January, but Effie Phillips Staley didn't declare till late May and maybe even June. So that's why it's yes and no.
And so you said like this is like each kind of district submitted a ballot essentially of the candidates that they wanted to hear more from. Will those be made public?
Which committee voted? The answer is I wasn't intending to do that, although I have shared some of that with each of the candidates. We had a follow-up call with many of the candidates to tell them about that. And if I was asked, I shared some of that information for their purposes. I did not think it useful to the greater good to put it out widely, because those candidates that did not, it wasn't my intention to harm any candidates. But certainly if a candidate wants that information, they were welcome to it.
Yeah, I mean, it does, I mean, and I'm trying to represent like the broader concerns that are out there from many people, many of whom reached out to me over the course of the past few days. This seems like an incredibly top-down process, and a process inherently, as you've described it, as the party leaders are going to tell us who we're going to get to hear more from in this forum. And I know that you mentioned you wanted to have a more robust debate, and I think I completely agree with that. Why not have 2 debates, 2 forums of 3 to 4 individuals, each randomly selected?
That's what we did in round 1. So, we're trying to change it up a little bit. This is how we're going to proceed. I have seen questions about, tell us why person X didn't make it. What was the problem? To me, putting that information out is not helpful. That's why we had
transparent.
Yes, transparency is wonderful. But if I were to tell a candidate that the consensus was that, they made a faux pas of some sort, that doesn't help things going forward. That's not my intention to do that.
Okay.
That's why we had these follow-up calls with the candidates, where myself and a couple of members of the executive committee provided feedback to some of those candidates, on a private, between us, the candidate, and their consultants.
And you wouldn't consider expanding the forum?
Not at this point, no, thank you.
And then I guess final question is, like, if this were different and all of the feedback that you received from district leaders actually weighted all of the men, for example, more heavily, would that have been the outcome?
Yes.
Okay. I do think that there's like an evolving role of the party and a difference of opinion in the role of the party in actually spotlighting our candidates versus making a space and allowing for competition. If folks want to get in touch with you and share their thoughts, I'm assuming they can do that.
They may email me, and as time permits, I will respond. Did you put my email up on the screen before, Kevin?
I could put it up in the comments. I could drop it on the comments afterwards.
Okay. Please don't call. I don't answer numbers.
No calling, no going to people's houses. But this is a party system. I know you don't have an easy job representing a very diverse and big party. I know that you know that like we just respectfully disagree strongly on this issue. But I very much appreciate you coming on. I think we need more of this discourse with folks who might not agree on things, actually talking it through. Thank you.
Right, and I want to repeat that other groups, whether they be municipal committees, activist groups, not-for-profits, NGOs, have and will have forums after petitions are in.
Yeah.
There'll be more from, News 12 and the League of Women Voters. There'll be lots and lots of opportunity. And I know the candidates are willing to come to small, house meetings and all that sort of thing. So people, as you said, should get engaged and take advantage.
And this, and you will say, like, it's not an endorsement, but the party has made a decision to put a spotlight on these 4 individuals. Because at this point,
that one evening, yes.
Okay. I mean, I think that is a signal to donors and others. But I appreciate you coming on and chatting about it.
Try to be as frank as I can. I think in the times we've spoken, you know that.
Yes.
And people have different views. I appreciate that. I believe most, if not all, of my executive committee is. I know they were all involved in the planning of this, and that's why we proceeded the way we did. So,
okay.
And there'll be time to hear from the other candidates as time goes on. And please do look at the YouTube. If you're just coming in now because of this controversy, go back and look at the other ones. That means we did a good thing by having the controversy, got people engaged, and went back. I cut you off. I'm sorry, Kevin. Did you say you had seen them?
Yeah, I've seen them. And I think the candidates continue to grow and get better and develop new momentum. And some are just getting their feet in the game, and hopefully can be really strong candidates that create a competitive field where we're going to have a nominee next year that ultimately wins.
Thank you for your time tonight. And I know you have an actual candidate coming after me, so I don't want to take too much of his time because that's more important.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Okay, guys. Thank you to Suzanne for coming on. This is the beginning of a conversation, which has been already occurring at great length online. I know that there's significant disagreement, including with myself, about the party's position right now. As a reminder, and before this, I used our favorite little ChatGPT. Based on recent polls, the Wall Street Journal, 63% of voters had an unfavorable view of the Democratic Party, while 33% viewed it favorably. CNBC survey showed a net 32% favorability rating. At Gallup, 34% favorability rating as its lowest since 1992. Our support among men have cratered. And I think that the last thing we need right now, as I just mentioned to Suzanne, is a top-down winnowing of the field. I think that everyone should be have their voice heard, and I think we should be thinking about creative forums. But that's also a call to action. I know other activist organizations are watching this right now, and so let the planning begin. We should have a really robust, strong, policy-oriented debate among our candidates, and we need to find the one who's best positioned to win next year. I want to, and I think we've heard that online, and I want to also call out someone, Jade Michael Glaze. Thank you for doing this. I know you started a petition online last night. I know the number of signatures continues to increase. For those looking at your screen, I'm going to make myself really small here. I might actually make myself disappear. Let's see if I could do this. Hold up your phone. Hold up your phone like this and put on the camera. And a little hyperlink will come up, and you can click on it, and you can join that petition and sign your name. And I know that those signatures will get back to the Westchester Democratic Committee. Again, I am deeply distressed about the decisions that were made. I think it is the role of a party to be responsible for creating the space and allowing competition among its candidates. And sometimes I just, while I respect the individuals involved, sometimes I just can't stand how our party and how party politics works. I think it's actually pretty gross. That said, someone who's not gross, Mike Sachs is joining us today. Mike Sachs, a lawyer turned a television reporter. Mike spent 15 years in journalism as the Supreme Court correspondent for the Huffington Post, political reporter at Fox 5 New York, and national political correspondent for Scripps-owned news stations across the country. He was awarded an Emmy for his coverage of the George Floyd protests, and his work was regularly featured in outlets including the New York Times, CNN, and MSNBC. Mike is a nationally recognized expert on the Supreme Court. He has covered legal battles over Obamacare, same-sex marriage, and on issues related to the Supreme Court, advocating for bringing greater transparency to the politicization of the court. A single dad, Mike lives on Croton Hudson with his 2 boys. He's active in all of their leagues. He's held a JD from Georgetown Law, a BA from Duke. It is my pleasure to once again say hi to Mike Sachs.
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I'm great. Dandy. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here again. Last time we were here, I think we were wearing sweaters. At least I was wearing a sweater. Now the weather's quite different. And the entire campaign has gotten moving.
It has gotten moving. How has it been since we last met?
It's been a lot and a lot of fun.
Yeah, good.
That's how a political campaign is. Mm-hmm. You know, something I've been thinking about a lot is before I had my first son. Mm-hmm. People would ask, "Are you ready?" Mm-hmm. And everyone would tell you what's going to happen. You're not going to get any sleep. You're going to be tired all the time. You're going to be in the vortex. And you'll wake up and realize, where's the time gone? Mm-hmm. And I'd say, well, I'm ready not to be ready. Right? Because you can hear all of that. Mm-hmm. And yet it won't register until you're actually in it, even though others have done it, even though, mm-hmm. and that's the same thing with a political campaign. No. Mm-hmm. And every day you're learning something new. You're learning new things about the process. You're learning new things about the people. Mm-hmm. You're learning new things about yourself. Mm-hmm. And it only makes a campaign better over time as you build that momentum, build that knowledge, build that understanding.
Yeah. So talk to me about the events. Like how's it been going? Give me some numbers.
Yeah. So we've done every week, we're going to different events. We're going to different committee meetings. We're going to different rallies. Mm-hmm. And that itself is, to me, my favorite part of the campaign.
Yeah.
You know, that's where you meet people. That's where you build relationships. That's where you get to know what people think, what they want, what they're most interested in.
Can I ask you a side question?
Yeah.
What would you be doing otherwise? The Mike Sachs in a parallel universe that wasn't spending his time during the week traveling across a pretty expansive district.
Yeah, I would be reading more judicial opinions and covering how our democracy is suffering under the hands of the Supreme Court. I'm a bit of a monomaniac in terms of what I most enjoy and what I do. And one of the reasons I'm in this race is because I got tired of being on the sidelines, reading, advocating outside of the main locus of action, which is in the House of Representatives. So that's not a cop-out. That's not an answer like, what do you think is your biggest weakness? Well, I just care too much. That's not, I'm not making this up. This is what I would be doing, but also
I believe it.
Beyond that, I would have more time for my family.
Yeah. And that's a cost, right? Like that is a cost. And you're doing this and you're traveling across the district. How much, I don't even know how many, I want to know how many hours you have to spend raising money in a given week.
The benchmark is 20 to 25 hours a week. That's not insignificant.
No.
Where you're sitting down and you're going through your entire personal network, people you haven't talked to in 15, 20 years even. You call them up.
Yep.
And one of the things I've found most rewarding, unexpectedly so, about the fundraising process is that instead of people picking up the phone and then cursing you out because you haven't talked to them in 20 years, why do you want my money now? Instead you hear, and I've heard, I've been waiting 20 years for you to do this. And the first time you hear that helps fuel the next hundreds of times you do it afterwards, in which someone might not pick up the phone, in which someone might say, yes, sure, but then they might not respond. This is the life of someone in a post-Citizens United campaign environment.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. What are the issues that you're hearing? And I know you want to talk into and dig into what's at stake in this election when we talk about protecting our democracy and an independent judiciary.
So the issues that I hear most on the campaign trail seem diametrically opposed. Affordability and autocracy. Creeping authoritarianism of a would-be autocrat in the White House. But those two things are actually inextricably intertwined at this moment. Because if you remember 2024, it was won on the promise from Trump and Lawler of lower prices. People feeling the benefits of the economy.
The eggs, Mike.
The eggs, right. Feeling the benefits of the economy that Biden and Harris, after him, kept insisting was getting better. But people weren't feeling it in their everyday lives. Inflation wasn't going down as fast as we had hoped. People were still getting squeezed by the affordability crisis up here in this district. So when you have people come in and saying they're going to help you, they're going to lower prices, but then they get into office and every single thing they've done has only served to jack prices up, steal from us, to benefit the billionaires who bought them and their power in office so that they can stay in power forever. To me, that's how the affordability and autocracy fit right together. They're putting forward policies, whether it's from the one big beautiful bill and the way it's robbed people of their health care and their SNAP benefits and doesn't do a thing for the affordability crisis. Or the tariffs that we're seeing now jack up vegetable prices just this week. And people aren't seeing what they voted for because they were lied to on behalf of those who want to stay in power in perpetuity. And they're now taking every action possible to make sure that happens for our subsequent elections.
So talk to me about, I think we use the term so frequently that sometimes we can talk past each other.
Yeah.
How do you define democracy? And why is it such a special and precious right that we have here in this country?
We live in a constitutional republic. What does that mean? It means we have a representative democracy in which the majority will prevails absent clear constitutional restraints. That's it. What we have now, though, is an administration that is seeking to distort that representative democracy. See what's happening in Texas and the gerrymandering there. a Supreme Court that is about to kill what it left standing when it previously gutted the Voting Rights Act a dozen years ago. So to further distort our democracy. We have gobs of corporate and billionaire cash in our campaign's finance system that distorts the voice.
We saw it right here last election with Elon Musk, right?
Correct. Correct. But it's not just majority rules. It's also democratic values like free speech and due process. Values that this administration, again, is assaulting. And we can't look at the federal forces rolling into Los Angeles because of protesters against the draconian fascist immigration enforcement system that they're rolling out there. We can't look at the federal forces rolling into Washington, D.C. to combat crime, which was triggered by a carjacking of a Doge employee. Big balls. As causes belli for this administration to roll out unconstitutional checkpoints and roving bands of federal agents through black neighborhoods in Washington, D.C. We can't look at that and think this is how our democracy should work.
Well, doesn't it happen? Doesn't it happen slowly? And so sometimes it's hard to realize like how it's slipping away.
Yeah, but now we have people standing up. You know, we had them standing up in LA. We had them standing up at the No Kings rallies and the Good Trouble rallies. The rallies we'll see this weekend as well. At Lawler's town halls.
Yeah.
The guy who threw the Subway sandwich at the federal agent in Washington, D.C.
Do not condone that, but
you know, people are standing up. They're saying we aren't going to stand for this. This isn't the country that we live in. And it's a beautiful thing seeing that. It's a beautiful thing. You have Gavin Newsom today in his effort to counteract Trump's anti-democratic ask to Texas to rig its maps to make sure that he's able to hold a House of Representatives that otherwise will flip because of how unpopular his policies are and how much he's still hurting people both physically, spiritually, and economically. In order to prevent that, he's saying, here, let's cheat. Let's cheat. And now we have Democrats, and this is when you were talking before, Kevin, about the unpopularity of the Democratic Party. It's this perception that we don't stand for the people we say we stand for and that we don't fight back. Now you have Newsom getting up there and saying, we need to fight fire with fire. No unilateral disarmament. Yes, we are the party of good government. Yes, we are the party that when we get in power, we will ban this kind of extreme partisan gerrymandering. But we see the results of what happened when we tried before to lead by example. We disarm while Texas can amp up and further re-empower those who would otherwise lose at the ballot box.
So you mentioned Gavin Newsom, Governor Newsom. Like how would he's kind of stood up as a leader in the gubernatorial space. How would you stand up as a leader in a way that our current representative Mike Lawler is not?
Yeah. Well, first, you don't lie to people. You don't tell them you're going to do something, then do the exact opposite. You don't tell them up is down and down is up, which he quite literally did on CNN a couple weeks ago. He said job growth is up, consumer price index is going down, and the GDP is up. When in fact, the day after he said that, the July jobs report came out, and job growth was not up, it was down. And Trump shot the messenger who was just reporting the facts and is now brought in a January 6th guy from the Heritage Foundation who will be the new chair of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics to cook the books and say, oh, things are always going to be good under Mr. Trump. The CPI, Consumer Price Index, is going back up. And the GDP with the tariffs is slated to shrink $120 billion per year. So Lawler actually said, up is down and down is up. That's what he did. So you start with that. You get yourself a congressperson who will not lie to you and who does not think you're stupid.
So I have a question. I have a question from Abigail.
Yes. Hi, Abigail.
She asks, I was hoping you could ask Mike about Representative Lawler trying to disenfranchise voters by supporting the SAVE Act. I am curious what he plans to do to push back on these anti-democratic policies.
Oh, man. I mean, I don't always say how much time you have, but let's talk about it right now. The SAVE Act.
Mm-hmm.
The SAVE Act is an answer to a non-existent problem about non-citizen voting in federal elections.
Mm-hmm.
It is a continuation of something that started in the George W. Bush administration, of pushing voter ID because they were afraid that Bush would lose the popular vote again in 2004. And it created a whole cottage industry among the right wing to suppress votes, so to preserve their power out of fear they will not be able to win a popular election ever again. So now we have with the SAVE Act, not just voter ID, but amping that up.
Mm-hmm.
Show your birth certificate and your passport to prove that your name at birth is your name now. Well, guess who that's going to hurt? Millions of married women who've changed their names. Millions.
Mm-hmm.
That you'd think would give Republicans pause because, well, their constituency includes millions of women who've changed their names. But such is this orthodoxy of needing to restrict the vote and scapegoat non-citizens and scare people that they glom on to these bills that are solutions that create for problems that don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully this thing doesn't pass in the Senate.
Yeah. So and if you were in there, I'm assuming you'd vote against it.
Oh,
but like
of course.
So one of the biggest questions I have when we're both talking about democracy, and I'd love to also hear your thoughts on an independent judiciary, is you replace Representative Lawler.
Mm-hmm.
You're one congressman taking back the House.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk to me about your proven ability to build the coalitions necessary to actually make the type of change that you're talking about?
Yeah, sure. So this is how I'm thinking about this race and how I'm thinking about entering the House of Representatives. Not as just one of 435, but building a core coalition of people who understand what's at stake in this very moment and how to use this House as the people's house. If you think about it, come January 3rd, 2027, when the 120th Congress begins, the House of Representatives will likely be the only chamber of the only branch of the federal government where Democrats, both big D and small d, which is largely coextensive at this point, can control. I'm not saying this to be depressing. I'm saying this to be galvanizing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we do not have the Senate or the White House, we cannot enact any laws. But what we can do is create an alternate vision and a new energy towards what can be. Think about Newt Gingrich's contract with America in 1994, but one that isn't stupid and evil. One that unites under a single umbrella all of the popular things and the rights restoration and the freedom restoration and the strengthening of our country that will have been depleted and left in rubble after 2 years of Trump and Supreme Court destruction. And then we use our oversight power with aggressive oversight, entertaining oversight that puts the American public as much of a show as the Trump show has been putting to us, but one that identifies the bad guys instead of leaving us at their mercy. So I have a Monday night, the criminal night, Tuesday night, the corrupt, Wednesday night, the clowns, Thursday night, the incompetents, Friday nights, the cronies. And each time you haul in somebody, the people who are responsible for hurting members of this district and this country, and say, these are the people who have hurt you. They have stolen your neighbors and sent them to third countries that they've never stepped foot in. They haven't lowered prices. They've jacked prices up to line their own pockets. They've distorted our democracy to keep you out of power forever. These are the guys. All right, so you have that one side. Then we propose, put forward, and don't stop talking about this agenda, this positive legislative agenda, reproductive rights restoration and strengthening. Voting rights restoration and strengthening, the PRO Act, climate action, comprehensive immigration reform, all of it. Maybe put it under our own one big beautiful bill, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? Why not? Why not put it all together and say, we are trying to work for you. Send it over to the Senate, and the Senate kills it. What do? We unite the oversight and the legislation. Say, remember those guys we hauled in before you? They're the ones who bought those guys who blocked us all from having those nice things. If we can tell that story And there are communicators in the House that currently, as it is, as well as people who will be elected this current election, who can band together and be those storytellers, be those communicators on the inside and outside, and never shut up until the next election. Don't give up the moment the billionaire-backed system designed to block us does just that. Don't do what the 2018 Congress did after the democracy reforms there, H.R. 1 for the People Act, John Lewis Voting Rights Act, got blocked in the Senate, and just be quiet about it. No, don't be quiet about anything. Keep the momentum going. Keep talking about it. Stay laser focused. We are trying to work for you, and they won't let us.
Is there a first bill? You're sitting at your desk.
Yeah.
You have your first staff meeting.
Yeah.
Is there a first bill that you have in mind that you would make a priority?
Yeah. I mean, I already mentioned that I would love to have all the bills all at once. I think that would actually be an amazing thing to do, and I would lobby leadership very hard for that. And I'm hoping this campaign would put that on their radar and make that an idea of something we should do.
Yeah. Because
I think that would make a big statement. But if there's a first among equals,
yes,
it's the one that unlocks everything else. And that is the For the People Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. It would ban this extreme partisan gerrymandering we're seeing right now, which Lawler is pretending to say he's for because his ox is getting
he came. Bored. I saw his newsletter. I'm on the newsletter, Mike.
I know. I know. And listen, I welcome that, but it's not sincere. It's his trying to pretend he's a moderate and pretend he's a bridge builder up here when he never once showed any support for that kind of thing in the previous Congress. Not once. Not once, because it's not to Republicans' benefit. But now he thinks he can jujitsu his way into saying that this is a good thing. No, come on.
But I think we have to really appreciate the artfulness that goes into the polls that are included in the emails.
Oh, they're beautiful. Just full of the very false choices. He presents his own actions before us. Oh, well, I lifted the salt cap a little bit, but he doesn't tell us that if you let the thing expire, then the salt cap would have been altogether lifted and we wouldn't be picking people's pockets to pay for billionaires' tax cuts.
Yeah.
Right. False choices galore. But no, I would put forward a bill that would look to seek to get big money out of politics, seek to end extreme partisan gerrymandering, seek to restore the pre-clearance regime that the Supreme Court struck down 12 years ago in the Shelby County case, so that states that mess with people's votes
and are
racist, and are racist in their attempts to mess with our elections, those have to run through the DOJ again. And I would restore ultimately what the Supreme Court is going to probably strike down, which is the other part of the Voting Rights Act, which allows people to go in and sue after the fact, after they've been injured by racist voter and election laws. And that's just a smattering of the things that are part of that democracy package that was put forward before and is still sitting there ready to be launched again. And that would unlock everything else, because with an undistorted representative democracy, it also means everything else can flow. It truly means that we can get through with the PRO Act for workers' rights and increasing the federal minimum wage. It means we can restore reproductive freedom and strengthen it. It means we can get comprehensive immigration reform, or at least get the ball rolling towards that, so that people will be aware of the further impediments towards the people's will being realized in our Congress.
Amen. And as I've said before, and very well, I think it's just an abomination that we have to be in a position, you have to be in a position nearly 2 years out from an election to be running and raising money, having to essentially give up so much of your life. It limits those individuals who can run, and it presents tremendous hardship for those who are running in order to not only compete with others, but to compete with corporate interests that are now strongly influencing the outcomes of our elections.
And you didn't even mention that it's a barrier to entry to begin with. So, those of us in the race, we were able to figure out that we could raise enough money to launch ourselves and run. But there are people who would otherwise run who'd be phenomenal. I bet there's probably political geniuses out there who just aren't even thinking about running because they don't have the resources, both personally and through network. And that is a tragedy.
It is.
That is a tragedy.
It's not sustainable.
Not sustainable,
in my opinion, at least for a functioning democracy.
No.
So, Mike, we are fortunate enough to have a field, as you've said in our previous conversation, of really talented candidates.
Amazing.
We're very lucky, despite the situation that we're in as a country. Like, what do you see as your differentiating characteristics, and why should district members support you?
So I have a unique line of sight to how we got to this point. I had a front row seat, quite literally at times, from Citizens United. I was in the courtroom for the Citizens United hearing. Through January 6th, when I was on air watching the feeds come in from DC, getting ready to tell our audience in the greater New York City area what exactly was going on and why it had happened. I saw comprehensive immigration reform die in the Senate 10, 12 years ago because the Senate filibuster, even though there were majorities in both houses of Congress and a president willing to sign it. Like, I watched and was in the Javits Center when Clinton lost election night 2016 because of the Electoral College, even though she won the popular vote by 3 million votes. So I have a unique line of sight to how we got to this point.
An appreciation for the levers at play.
Yes, and understanding how we have the right wing that's been pulling every anti-democratic lever of our Constitution to perpetuate its power, no matter the people's will. And this is an understanding that is essential to the 120th Congress. I would argue is the most important thing to understand about where we are right now and how to get us out of it. The most important thing.
So I have sorry.
Yeah.
Please. I have
and to understand where the power is. The power isn't just with Trump, the autocrat. The power isn't just in what's been divested from Congress, and they're sitting on their hands while he violates fundamental rights we fought a revolution over.
Yeah.
It's also in the Supreme Court, which got us this point. From Citizens United, flooding with cash, Shelby County gutting the Voting Rights Act, Rucho v. Common Cause, which allowed for this extreme partisan gerrymandering we're now seeing that messes with the votes and hurts people's voices, takes people's voices away. Trump versus United States, which declared him immune from criminal prosecution after they'd already allowed him back on the ballot despite being an insurrectionist under the 14th Amendment. This Supreme Court got us to where we are right now. They are not an independent judiciary. They are 6 unelected partisan political operatives who are advancing their own agenda. And right now it's consistent with Trump's, and they've laid down in 17 straight cases without even much of giving us an explanation for why, rather than stand up for the statutes and the constitutional provisions he's been violating. And we need to have people in Congress who understand that dynamic and are willing to reorient our government and our policies back to the people in the people's house. Know that that's where it should begin, not with the pen and the phone that we've for too long had waited for presidents to save us with congressional gridlock. Now with the savior Supreme Court that has shown itself to be anything but with the people. And we can build momentum for that in the House and use every lever of the House's power to get ourselves towards 2028 and winning there, to get ourselves to 2030 and winning there. To realize the vision that will begin on January 3rd, 2027, get it through and do everything possible. Stop at nothing to get it all done. But to do that, we need to build that new House.
Have 2 more questions for you. One's from a constituent, and it directly ties, in my view, to this idea of democracy. This is from Joe. He said, I am interested to hear from Mike Sachs tonight on why he is not pushing back against elitist Democrats in Westchester who are trying to push him out of the race by not letting him participate in their candidate forum. I have been impressed with his campaign and think he deserves a spot on the stage. Joe, what do you say?
Hey, Joe, do you have friends? Because I would love to meet you and talk with all of your friends, or if you belong to a committee, appear before your committee and do the campaign work out in the field where it matters. Listen, this forum, it's great to be on forums. I've enjoyed the forums I've been on. There will be other forums that we can be on. I think all 7 of us should be in this forum. But I also know that one forum is not the end-all be-all of this campaign when there's so much time that we still have to run. There are people out there that we are talking to. There are voters out there who don't even know yet that there's a race going on, who haven't even clued into this campaign yet or any campaign. And those are the people that we have to reach. Not just me, not just the other 2 who are not on the forum, but all 7 of us have to do that work where we are reaching out beyond the party structures to the voters who are registered Democrats, who are unaffiliated, and even, yes, past this primary, get ready for the general, where we have to appeal to Republicans as well, who are sick of being lied to by Lawler, didn't think that they asked for what Trump's meting out to our entire country, and want to build a new house.
So if folks want to get involved in the Mike Sachs campaign, how can they do so?
Go to MikeSachsForCongress.com. Sign up. There's a sign up where you can add your email to our list. You can get involved, reach out, and we would love to have you be part of our campaign as volunteers, as people to spread the word, as those who are just generally enthusiastic about what this campaign stands for. We would love to have you.
Mike, it's so great talking with you. It's always a
There's
dynamic
always so much to leave on the floor, though, Kevin.
I know. Well, people can only listen for so long, my friend.
Well, I would love to talk about everything else that we otherwise would have talked about, but everyone watching, you know how to reach us.
Yep.
Get in touch, and I'm happy to talk about all of these things with you. And make sure you know that what's at stake in this election is truly nothing short of rescuing our republic from a would-be autocrat. You got to pick the right person to get in there who's going to be loud and relentless and has the vision to stand apart and say, this is how we get to where we need to be.
Mike, it's good to see you.
Kevin, great to see you as well. Thanks for making time.
Bye. So once again, that's Mike Sachs. Back to join us and really talking about the need to really strengthen our protections that preserve our democracy and our independent judiciary. It's always so wonderful to get to speak with him. And following Mike on Saturday, we're going to get to talk with Effie Phillips Staley and about the issue of immigration. That's Saturday at 10 a.m. I haven't thought about it yet, but I always love talking with Effie, and I know that we're all going to learn a lot from that conversation. Again, I'm Kevin. Thank you for watching and allowing me to interview the candidates on your behalf. There's a lot that we need to do, and I think we have a couple of calls to action from today's conversation. Looking forward to being part of them. Talk soon.